Welcome to Nathan's Mind Movies. Episode 3. The Yabberlock.
After 4 years of living abroad, me and my wife Ashley returned to find America unrecognizable and divided into hundreds of warring tribes. Every issue was controversial and grounds for battle. We saw a man shoot another man with a blow dart over a disagreement about the state tax on sugary drinks. One afternoon, we watched in horror as two men bludgeoned each other over whether or not The Shape of Water deserved an Oscar. The larger one struck his opponent down, and a crowd of spectators cheered. He paused, sniffed the air, and pointed at us. "You two," he called. "What's your opinion of diversity in Hollywood?" "Run!" I screamed. "It's a trap. There is no right answer." We ran as fast as we could and almost got captured by an army of activists who wanted to debate us on climate change. We ended up in an artsy coffee shop in a trendy part of town, hoping that the hipsters would grant us asylum. Ashley got a seat, and I stood in line. Behind the barista, I saw a poster promoting an event titled Scaly Tea. "What happens at Scaly Tea?" I asked. The barista rolled her eyes. "It's just a thing where people from our community get together and drink tea and have meaningful conversations about our favorite reptiles." I wasn't surprised by this. Hipsters love creating events by combining two things that have no business being together. Just days earlier, I had read about a chili cook-off themed orgy that had gone terribly, terribly wrong. I paid for my drinks and started to leave. "Scaly tea, huh? Well, maybe I'll see you at the next one." "Actually," she said, "it isn't for you." "What?" "You can't go." She informed me that the club was only for women, or those who identified as one. These included women who were straight, lesbian, bisexual, bicurious, non-binary, men in transition to women, and vice versa, as well as femmes. "Femmes?" I asked. "What's a femme?" She rolled her eyes again and sighed. "A femme is a lesbian who is spiritually and physically aware of the power of her femininity. It's actually a really common term. Most people have heard of it." There is a biological transformation that happens in every American when we are told no, and I felt it happening to me. Dozens of opinions crowded my head, and I felt my vocal cords expand. I was a warrior, and I now saw her not as a hipster barista, but an age-old foe. "It just doesn't seem very inclusive, does it?" I hissed through clenched teeth. "I don't care. What can you do?" "Well, I could write a bad Yelp review saying that this place uses coffee beans that aren't fair trade." "You sick son of a bitch. You wouldn't dare." She lunged at her espresso machine and steamed a cup of almond milk, filling the room with a thick fog. When it cleared, I found myself surrounded by dozens of hipster baristas, wielding tattoo guns and tiny bike wrenches. I didn't stand a chance. They would take me to their Pinterest-inspired dungeon, tie me up with hemp rope, and feed me to a giant crocodile with a gender-neutral name like Corey or Hayden. I retreated to my table, sad and defeated, and sat next to Ashley. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Did somebody tell you no?" The confrontation bothered me. If I was going to live in America again, I needed a group of my own, and I had an idea. I would stroll into their next meeting, pull up a chair, and inform them that among their groups of straight women, trans, the non-binary, the femmes, there was one group they'd forgotten to include in their invitation, and I was there to represent them. The Yabberlocks. A Yabberlock, I would explain, is a straight man in a committed relationship. He is disinterested in sports and, on occasion, enjoys having his nipples played with. We're also bad at math and love the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but lack the patience to get through the books. We get most of our facts from Wikipedia. We are the Yabberlocks. A Yabberlock? They'd ask. Yeah, it's actually a really common term. Most people have heard of it. My mind swelled with the possibilities. Maybe they'd refuse to serve me, and I'd refuse to leave, and they'd call the police. The media would go nuts, and one by one, Yabberlocks would come forward. Who knew? 10 years from now, political pundits could be talking about the growing influence of the Yabberlock vote. I then realized that even though they had only existed for 5 minutes, the Yabberlocks were already on a tricky path, one of conspiracy theories and subreddits and debates that had no end. Ashley gave me a nudge. Are you ready to go? We set out on our walk, and as we spent the rest of the afternoon together, talking and laughing, the struggle of the Yabberlocks faded from my mind. The two of us marched along, becoming a more complete unit with each step. Another newly formed tribe, crowding the American landscape. The end.
Nathan's Mind Movies are written and narrated by me, Nathan Adeshina. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe, or maybe tell a friend about the show. Now I'll go back into my head and meet you here next time with a story to tell. Take care.